feel very honored that I can introduce our next author, Glen Park, which most of you, I'm sure, know of. And funnily enough, for me, there is a little bit of a personal experience, because Glen's book, The Art of Changing, her first book, was the first book about Alexander Technique I personally ever read about 15 years ago or something like that, when I first heard about the Alexander Technique. So I'll keep it very short. Glen Park's been teaching for over 25 years. She is based in UK, in West Essex, I believe. And tonight for some today, and for some very early in the morning, she will be talking about her most recent book, which is on chakras. So I think I'll just hand it over to you, Glen, and thank you very much, and enjoy the talk, everybody.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you. When I was asked if I'd like to be involved in this, I got a whole lot of questions. And I looked at these questions, and so what I'm going to do is read out one of the questions. You sent me about 7 to start with, Rosella and Jana, and then you sent me a couple more this morning. So I'm going to just look at these questions as an author and answer them. And in the process, I'll say a little bit about The Art of Changing, my first book, and a little bit about the new book that's just published this week in the UK and in Australia, and it's been out for a bit longer in America. So here's a question: why did you write your book? What did you want to say? And when I wrote my first book, The Art of, does anybody wave your hand if you recognize this version of it? Because that's the first one of the first versions. And now it looks like this. So some of you may see that book. This is The Art of Changing. I like Penelope, I trained in the 80s. And I had a quite powerful experience in the first year of my training, which was that I began to see auras and have quite powerful psychic experiences. I had some of these experiences were lovely, but some of them were quite difficult. So I had been told by a clairvoyant that I was too open psychically and needed to learn how to look after my psychic mechanism. So alongside of training as an Alexander Technique teacher, I trained in psychic development. And that's when I first began to learn about the chakras. So the chakras and the Alexander Technique, although I kept them very separate, they were kind of, I was learning them together, which probably explains the direction that my writing has taken. So I wrote the first book after I'd been teaching for about 6 years. And at that time, it came out in 1989, there weren't a lot of books, there were Alexander's books. There weren't a lot of other books on the Alexander Technique. I mean, Penelope mentioned that American one. What's it called? A minute. Body Awareness in Action, Frank Pierce Jones, and there was the what's the other one that's the Alexander Principle by Wilfred Barlow. Don't know anybody remembers this. He was a doctor and it was very medical. Anyway, there wasn't a lot, and I just really wanted my pupils to understand the principles of the Alexander Technique in a very simple way. So that was one of the reasons that I wrote the book. I think my writing has been so that people that I work with can understand all that I've gathered from my experience over 30 years, Jana. It's a bit more than 25 now, getting older all the time. Anyway, that was but but the book was split into two parts. There was the fundamentals, that was all about the principles of the Alexander technique and how to understand them in part 1. And then there was developments in part 2. And that was because this psychic development that I was understanding better as a result of training began to come in during my work, because I would find that when I was working with someone, there would be sometimes, alongside the muscular releases, there'd be quite a big emotional release. Or sometimes a person would have a memory about something that happened years ago come up as a result of muscular release. I mean, one of the things that Alexander was one of the first people to say is that the mind and the body are a unity. They are one combination. They're not separate. And suddenly a memory would turn up because something I remember working on someone's leg, and she was releasing. There was a huge amount of release in the leg, and at the end she said that it was almost like her life had flashed past her, but all to do with memories of what had happened with this leg from when she was fell out of the cot as a very young child. And from that, from then on, all the problems that had occurred with this leg and that were releasing. And as they released, all these memories were coming up. So these kind of experiences, I began to think that I needed some way of dealing with the emotional side of the Alexander technique and the psychological side, not just the physical side. And that's where the developments came in. I wrote about the emotional body and the thinking body, and then the energetic body, where I talked about the chakras in my first book. So that was 30 years ago that the book came out. So since then, I found that I could work with hands-on, working with the chakras, as well as working with the Alexander technique. I would say to a new pupil, I do also work with the chakras if it seems like a good idea. Is that okay? And then if it was, depending on whether I got a yes or no, sometimes it would just feel right to work at a more emotional, psychological level. I've done case studies in the book. This is my new book. Chakra Healing, can you see that? Yeah. Chakra Healing Therapy, Awaken Spiritual Energies and Heal Emotional Wounds. I have to say, with Penelope doing that very detailed anatomical and medical and structural thing, you're going to now get something completely different in this second talk. But it was lovely, Penelope. I did enjoy what you were doing. So this is moving into the other side of the Alexander technique. One of the questions that Jana and Rosella asked me was what did I learn? What did I learn from writing a book? What was one of the most surprising things you learned in creating your books? And what I learned was to trust the writing process, and that included trying to sleep. Sleeping really well was most important, because in that half hour between waking and getting up, or however long you give yourself between waking and getting up, that's when the best ideas would come to me about the book. That's when I'd think, I know how to write that section. So a lot of what surprised me about writing was how I had to learn to trust my intuition, to trust synchronicity, to experiences that suddenly arose, and I thought, that's something that's going to help me with the book. These were really important ways of learning that surprised me. Because I have done the way I've written the book is very organized. I do a introductory chapter about chakras, and then there's a chapter on each chakra, and on each chakra I write about the physical level, and then the psychological level, the psychic level, and the spiritual level of each chakra. And then I talk about in those I talk about developmental psychology. I talk about the neuroscience that links to each chakra, and the other scientific discoveries that are to do with that area of the body. And and then I talk about the psychological aspects of the chakras, and look at the research and development in that area as well. And then finally, I'll also look at linking it to a cultural emphases that we have in society. For example, we have spiritual communities where there's a massive emphasis on the heart chakra. We have artistic communities where there's an emphasis on the 5th and 6th chakras. So I'll say a bit more about the chakras a bit in a minute, but so there's a cultural section, and finally I do case studies, and I do experiential exercises for each chakra. So that's the organization of the book, but within that it was really important to trust my intuition. That was a big learning, which I should have known, really, seeing as the psychic side of the work has always been very prevalent with me. Okay, so where I got to in these, I've just, all these notes I made, I've swapped them all around now. Yes, I've been asked, why did I write it? I wrote this book, the new book, for people who came to me to work, because in the 30 years what I've been doing this, I would start to get people just coming for chakra work. People would be coming for Alexander work, people would be coming for both, working together, and some people would be coming just for the chakra work. And this time I wrote a book that was just about the chakras, although I quote Alexander and I mention Alexander principles in the book quite often. But it is this time particularly for people who want to know more about their chakras, but also for Alexander teachers, because I then started to run courses working with the chakras for Alexander teachers. There's quite a few Alexander teachers. There might be some on this course. Certainly one or two have done I see people who've done weekend workshops here. And yeah, that's right. I can see some of you. So hello, thanks for coming. Yeah, so that the book was for that, and also for other body therapists. I'm hoping there might be other body psychotherapists and so on who might be interested in this work. So what I might do now is actually tell you a little. I thought I might do, how am I doing for time? Okay. Might do a little talk through so that I actually do a bit of this chakra work with you. It's interesting, Penelope is talking about working at a Zoom level. One of the things I've been doing, and I really do encourage everybody who feels they might like to try this, I've been doing distant work quite differently. This is not using a laptop. With a colleague that I've worked with for quite a long time, so we know each other's work. We have been doing Alexander work and chakra work absently at a distance. So I'm going to get a session on me tomorrow. I shall lie in semi-supine and she'll work on me for about 20 minutes. I then write my notes. She writes her notes about what we've found out in that session, about what I've experienced, what she felt was happening, and then we discuss and compare notes. And we've been swapping like that and learning an awful lot about how you can communicate psychically beyond the normal communications through this. It's like distant healing, but this is distant Alexander work and distant chakra work. If you've got a colleague that you've worked with quite a lot and know each other quite well, trust each other, try doing a bit of distant work with them. It's fascinating, and take notes and compare notes and see what comes from that. It's a really interesting way to work. Okay, so on to my book. I'm going to just, this is where I screen share. I'm going to show you one of the illustrations. There's lots of illustrations, lots of coloured illustrations as well in the middle of the book, and lots of illustrations through the book. Here we are. This is actually all the illustrations. I'm just going to click on one of them. There we are. This is just to say, it's a very simple diagram, just to show how the chakras are all at turning points. The chakras,
Sorry,
it's almost,
excuse
can
me,
you see it?
double click because it's still pretty small. So maybe double
I
click.
don't know if I can get it any bigger. No, I don't think I can get it bigger than that.
Can you double click the image maybe if it opens up? Would that work?
No, I mean, on my screen, it's quite big.
Here I only see the thumbnails on my end.
Oh, right. It's taking up a third of my screen.
Okay. So
is that the same for everybody else? Can people kind of put their hands up if they can see a bigger picture and not if they can't? So does that mean everybody's getting a tiny picture?
Yeah, afraid so.
Oh, that's a shame, because it worked when I did it with Eurocella earlier, didn't it? I wonder what's gone wrong.
Okay. We're getting thumbnails. Is it possible if you double click on the thumbnail, it will probably come up as full right there.
that worked.
No.
Okay, good.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David. Yeah. So yes, so the chakras are all at turning points. One at the base of the base chakra, at the base of the spine, the sacral chakra, where the primary sacral curve turns into the secondary lumbar curve, the solar plexus chakra, where the lumbar curve turns into the primary thoracic curve, the heart chakra is at the node of the primary curve of the thoracic spine, the outer node. The throat chakra is where again it turns into the secondary curve of the neck, and then the eye chakra is at the atlanto-occipital joint, and the crown chakra is at the pineal gland. So that's just to show where the chakras are. I'm going to share another picture now, if I know how to do this. Try again. Oh dear, lost it. Here we are. This picture. Now, is that big or small?
Now we still see the old picture, so you might have to.
Oh goodness.
The old picture, if that's possible, that will be open somewhere on your desktop, I think.
So I don't know what's right. I'm going to give up on this then. I think I'm going to just.
Is it? Maybe if you just close the picture you showed us again with the.
Let's try that.
The cross. To get back that screen with the thumbnails, and then.
Now, has that picture gone? Because I've closed it.
No, it's still here.
I give up then, because I've closed it. And I don't want to spend hours worrying about this. So nobody sees this other picture. Nobody sees a different picture now. Okay, how do I've now got to get out of screen sharing. Let me.
That's it.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I thought we could do a guided visualization working through the chakras. I can't I'm just trying to think on my feet here, or not on my feet. We can do this in sitting. I'll start off with quite a short visualization. And then I think I'll move on to just working on one of the chakras at a deeper level. The lower chakras all represent stages of life as we're growing up, and they're very significant in where we get our difficulties and emotional and psychological difficulties and problems. So the base chakra links to when we're in the womb and birth and the first year or so of life. It's when the reptilian brain is dominant. It's our instinctual consciousness. It's very fundamental instinctual consciousness that then carries on supporting us all the way through life. The next chakra, the sacral chakra, is dominant. It's the dominant stage during childhood, and this is when the limbic system is very active. I mean, the whole cerebral cortex is growing and developing all the time, but there's a very strong sensual, emotional aspect to the child energy. And well, we know that with young children particularly, they're full of sensual curiosity. They just want to taste and touch and move and operate through their senses, and they also of course want to be loved. It's the beginning of relationship in that sacral chakra, where they really start to explore this world and start to see themselves as a separate self. The first 3 lower chakras are about developing the ego in different ways, and then the solar plexus chakra at the solar plexus area is where thinking becomes more dominant, and the kind of pleasure orientation, that is the motivation of the child, changes to a more considered, thoughtful self-awareness about what kind of an adult am I growing into in the 3rd chakra. So thinking and judging become much more central to that chakra. Moving on to the heart chakra, you get a sense of moving beyond the ego. This is where, with the heart chakra, we feel those deeper emotions of when we're out in nature, just feeling very moved by beauty, or feeling absolutely unconditional love. I mean, a lot of love's very conditional. Like the young child needs to feel loved. But maybe the mother looking at the newborn baby feels unconditional love. The way we feel for a pet, maybe, or for a person we're very close to, this unconditional love. But also the deeper feelings when we feel moved by awe and spiritual feelings. This is when we're getting into the heart chakra energy, and the heart chakra is our inner healer. We work with the heart chakra to overcome the woundedness of the lower chakras, and also as that happens, the whole energy system opens up, and we open ourselves up to a more inspirational flow of energy in the upper chakras. All the chakras open during childhood, but the development of them happens all the way through our lives. So the throat chakra is our creative communicator, our creative actor in different ways. It's the chakra dominant in an actor or a dancer, or an artist or a sculptor, you know. And then the eye chakra is our creative thinking. It's the creative work that you do to write a book, for example. So there's and then finally you get to the crown chakra, where you have the potential to move into enlightened non-dual consciousness, where the sort of teaching that you get if you're actually going through a spiritual teaching. So that's a very quick rush through the chakras, and I'll now just do a talk through that's just energetic, and then we'll move into doing a little bit of deeper work on the sacral chakra, maybe on the base chakra as well. Okay, how am I doing for time? Yeah, okay. So if you'd like to do this in semi-supine, you can quickly lie down now if you'd like to have a little rest, as long as you can hear me. But I'm going to close my eyes to do this. I recommend you close your eyes. If you're a person who finds it difficult to visualize, do you remember that quote by Alexander? I've got this quote. Let me just see if I can find it. Where he talks about energy. It's not this is a quote, Alexander quote, it's not the degree of willing or trying, but the way in which the energy is directed that's going to make the willing or trying effective. So he saw us directing energy when we gave our directions. So just think about directing energy if you feel visualization is not easy for you. Okay, so if you want to lie down, I'll just wait for about 30 seconds and then I'll start this guided visualization. I'll have my eyes closed, so do feel, unless you don't want to close your eyes, do feel free to close your eyes. So just feel your feet on the floor to start with. Just bring your attention to your feet connecting to the floor. And have a sense that that connection is connecting you deeper than the floor that you've got the feet on. It's going right down into the earth, that connection. It's your weight going through the feet and through the rest of your body that's in contact with a chair or with the floor, that's just falling down away into the earth. I'm focusing on the feet because that's linked to the base chakra. So imagining the earth, as we know, the center of the earth is red hot. Just have a sense of that red hot light just moving towards the edge of the earth, cooling down. It's not hot anymore, but it's red. And there's red light coming up through your feet, into your legs, into your thighs, and into your pelvis, and into the base chakra, which you could see as a red source of energy at the tip of the coccyx, at the base of the spine. And that red light pouring out from that center into the pelvis and also out into the aura. We actually know that consciousness spreads out beyond the body now, and just allowing it to do that. And then let that red light move up through the coccyx into the sacrum, and at the top of the sacrum changing to an orange light that's based at the top of the sacrum. This is the sacral chakra, an orange energy source, and the orange light is flowing outwards into the lower abdomen, merging with the red light of the base chakra and flowing out into the aura. And then let that orange light move higher into the lumbar spine, changing from orange to a wonderful glowing golden light, shining out through the solar plexus chakra, shining out across into the body and out into the aura. And these are your 3 lower chakras. Just think through it again with the red light coming up through your feet, legs, into the pelvis, up into the coccyx and sacrum, changing to orange, flowing out into the aura, moving up into the lumbar spine, changing to a golden yellow, shining out through the solar plexus. And now moving up into the thoracic spine, to the center of the chest, changing to a lovely green energy, green that's the energy of the natural world of this planet, and spreading that lovely green light out across the chest, out into the aura, up into the shoulders and down through the arms and out through the center of the palms of the hand. So that heart chakra energy is flowing out through our arms and hands. In fact, the energy of all the chakras flows out through our hands, but particularly the energy of the throat, of the heart and throat chakras. And now let that lovely green light move up to the collarbones, where the thoracic spine changes into the cervical spine of the neck. And that changes to a lovely blue light shining out across the shoulders, down the arms, out of the hands, into the aura, up into the neck and into the jaw and ears. This is our throat chakra. spreading out into those parts of the body and out into the aura. And then moving up to the top of the spine, the atlanto-occipital joint. And this is a purple indigo, deep bluey purpley light spreading out across the head and out into the aura. And then up into the center of the head, the pineal gland behind the eyes, where it changes to a pale violet, and that goes up right to the crown of the head, getting paler and paler, turning into pure white light, shining out through the top of our head and out into the aura. And now we've moved from the earth and we've reached up into the universe above us, the rest of the universe that's above us, around us. So have a sense of that universal spiritual energy flowing down through our bodies as white light, pouring down through the crown chakra, through the head, through the neck, through the shoulders, through the chest, through the arms and hands, allowing a lovely clearing and cleansing and enriching of these chakras, pouring down through to the solar plexus, down into the sacral abdominal area, down into the base chakra, into the legs, the knees, the lower legs, into the feet, and down into the earth. So we're like this beautiful prism connecting the earth and the sky through these differential energies of all the chakras. So that's a very quick, energetic way of engaging energetically with our chakra system. And what I want to do for the next few minutes is to just work at a more psychological level. And what I'd like everyone to do is to put one hand on their lower abdomen. The thumb could just be touching the navel, and the rest of the hand below the navel, just connecting to the lower abdomen. Let your other hand rest either on your thigh or your hip, depending whether you're sitting or lying. So you've got a hand palm down on your sacral chakra. And the important qualities of this chakra, which is linked, it's dominant in childhood, is our sensory pleasure. There's a motivation for sensory pleasure, and there's a longing to connect and be loved. There's been this separation from the mother at birth, and a functioning at an instinctual level, which includes attachment to the mother, which is a very instinctual process. But now we're coming to a more conscious process in the limbic system. And I want you to start thinking about some ways in which you experience sensory pleasures. First of all, just think about your favorite tastes, things you love to eat or drink. Just imagine some of your favorite foods that you're able to enjoy and taste. Spend a moment reflecting on your favorite tastes. And then some of those tastes are going to have really delicious smells as well. Think about smells that you really like, some of the smells of food that you enjoy eating, and also the natural smells of the natural world, flowers, just the lovely smell of a woodland after a rainy day, when there's a lovely smell of freshness, the smell of the seaside. Maybe you've got some special favorite smells of your own perfumes. Whatever comes to you as things you love to smell. And then think of ways that you like to touch things that you like to touch. If you've got a pet, you probably love stroking them, or you might love stroking a velvet cushion, or you might love actually just carefully touching an ornament that you own that has a nice sculptured feel to it. Ways in which you like to touch. And if you're in a close relationship, a person that you like to touch. And ways that you like to be touched. So the Alexander technique comes to mind immediately. Experiencing the really special touch of a good Alexander lesson. And then other ways that you might like to be touched. That might include things like swimming and feeling the seawater against your skin, or the breeze on a warm day. Lovely ways in which you like to experience touch. Just explore your favorite sensories of touch. And then alongside of that, potentially swimming and feeling the water against your skin, what ways do you like to move? Think of ways that you love to move. Again, it might be doing some Alexander movements, or it could be swimming, walking, running, dancing. What are your favorite ways of moving? And now, what are your favorite sounds? What do you love to listen to? Once again, it could be natural sounds. It could be music. Think about the sounds that you love. And then think of ways that you feast your eyes, things you love to look at. Works of art, beautiful architecture, natural scenes. So you've just given a little bit of time to exploring how you can look after yourself at a sensory level. Something that we often don't get enough time to do in this busy world that we live in. The other aspect of the sacral chakra is about relationship. It's where we begin to want to feel we belong to a family, that we're loved by our mother and father, our siblings. So I'd like you to just think about people in your life now as an adult that you feel really close to, that you feel that, these are the people in your close, loving group. It could be your partner or your children or members of your family and friends. Having a sense that you belong in a way to this group of people. This is your close group. Have a sense of your love for them and also their love for you. So these are ways that we nurture our sacral chakra, we nourish it. One of the ways in which we can nourish it. And I don't know if you've noticed, some of you may have noticed changes happening under that hand that is in connection with the abdomen. It can really, you can really start to feel the changes happening as we do this exercise. I've noticed the changes, and I've had the difficult job of leading you through it at the same time. So I hope some of you'd have a good experience with that too. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so my person was telling me that she didn't know there were 2 talks. So yes, you get 2 talks with 1 ticket. Yay! And then you get the recordings. And there is 2 more coming, and then we do 4 more over another 2 months, because Jana and I are enjoying doing this thing. Did you have any question for Glen? Put your hand up if you want to ask a question. It was a question about when the book is going to be available.
It's available, well, if officially it's in the UK, it's published next Thursday. It's already out in the US, and I think it was out on the 1st of December in Australia. So it's out there, you know, it's you can order it now. It's just all the main booksellers are selling it. That it won't arrive until Thursday or Friday. But it's this week, basically.
And Jackie has a question. You'll have to unmute you.
I think Jackie wants to say that it's also available on Kindle, that she got it on Kindle.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, on Kindle, yeah.
Very good lips reading.
No, we talked about it in the breakout room. Yeah.
I've got a question, and is have you got any more online? Have you got recordings or online of your talk to?
Well, I've got on my website. I do. There are 4 guided visualizations, and the last one has the chakras on it. But I need to do some more.
Yes, you need to do some more.
Because those were ones that were linked to my first book. I don't know if anybody has got the CD. There was a CD that was linked to, and a tape that was linked to my first book. Those are available now through Audible if you go on my website. But I have been saying to my 2 sons, who are my managers really, that we have to get some recordings online. But I thought I'd get the book out first. Thanks for asking.
I really enjoyed it. That's why I'm looking for more.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
And Teresa wants to say something.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Glen. I have your first book, and I was wondering if the second one continues on, like it kind of connects to the first one, or is it separate? Like if you didn't have the first book, would this?
You don't have to have the first book in order to read the second one, but there's about 10 times more in the second book, or even more than that. You know, it's the whole thing I go into in a lot more depth than I did in the first book.
Okay. Brilliant. Yeah. No, because I remember meeting you in my first year of my training, actually.
Oh right. Where did you train?
In Galway.
Oh yes, with Richard.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So I have I have your book signed by you. But so I was wondering how the 2 relate to each other.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it stands as a separate book, really. You don't need to have read the first one, and it's not as though there's a lot of repetition, actually.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yep.
Voilà.
So, thank you very much, to both of you and Jana, Rosella, and everyone. And looking forward to have both books. And this, well, I am a bit old with the talk that Glen gave now, and this is another experience that online as well works. And looking forward to do the other exercise that she gave us of working with some teacher that you know and doing it in the distance.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you to both of you for your hard work in getting these books done. So now we have all the information into books.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm doing the course with David as well at the moment, and Caroline, and working in these chakras. Now it's like everything is coming together, and I love Tom Mayers, and Penelope is doing that for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Lovely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Penelope, please.
Yeah. Last question.
Hello, Glenn. Yes, I had your book years ago, actually, when I was first trained. It was very important to me. And yes, I've kept this book, very scientific. But I'm intrigued that you have found the science that links with the chakras, because it seems to me the whole body is sentient. And I wonder how much of, do you give references? I mean, is that, my science head is sort of saying, oh, there's some tasty references in there. And
okay, here's a few things. The heart has been reclassified as an endocrine gland, and the hormone one of the main hormones it gives out is oxytocin, which is the love hormone we call. Yes, so that's an example. The other thing about the heart is that it's got 60% of the cells of the heart are neural cells. It's like a small brain, and it's about the size of a cat's brain. We have a little brain in the heart, which Aristotle knew. Lots of wise philosophers knew that you can't educate the head without educating the heart, said Aristotle. And so, and the heart gives out an electromagnetic field that extends about 12 feet from the body. And you can influence that electromagnetic field through working on the emotions of appreciation and gratitude. It changes the quality of that field, and it changes the quality of the heart rhythms. You get more coherent heart rhythms if you think certain thoughts or have certain feelings. So those are some, and then similarly with the digestive system. The digestive system is the largest producer in the body of serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone, and it's our pleasure center, the second chakra. So so there's all these really interesting things about the body which I've discovered, similar to you. I found these things really interesting. So there's a taster.
Thank you. That's brilliant. I shall follow up.
Great, thanks. And Penelope, I just wanted to say, because we must have been training about the same time, I trained with Don Burton, and he had a principle of bringing in teachers. We got McDonald teachers, we got Misha Mogadoff. When he had his training course in the Lake District, he had a Misha Mogadoff teacher, Joan Diamond. Joan Diamond, yes.
Yes.
And he very principled about trying to bridge these different ways of teaching the Alexander technique. He was a very wonderful director of training, actually. And he also had a belief that every Alexander teacher was going to be different. So somebody like you and somebody like me, he was fine about me working with the chakras, and he would be fine with somebody working in the way you're working. He really encouraged individuality. I just wanted to honor him for that.
Yes, thank you. I never met him, but I used to visit ATA when I was, and that was his first school, of course.
Yes, that's right. That's where I trained. Yes.
And that's who told me about Misha's school, because I was only visiting Carrington schools, and nobody was telling me about any other schools. And it was ATA that told me about Misha's school.
Well, I visited Carrington school, and they told me that Don was just starting a new training course. And so I talked to Don, and I thought, right, I'll go on this training course. So I was in the first group of his trainings. Yeah.
I'm gonna stop you there for a second, and then we can start again.
We could go on chatting all evening, couldn't we?
That's why I'm stopping you. I think the Alexander technique is a beautiful small community, and the more we are connected to each other, the more we work together, the more fun it is. I had the same experience. I had a head of training who would invite other teachers of other style. I had no idea there were other style. I just thought each teacher was a bit different. So thank you everyone for coming tonight. You'll get a recording link in your email, even if you weren't here, so everyone will get one. This was great fun. We have got Kathy Madden and Stephen Shaw, right?
Next time.
Next week.
Yep.
So you're welcome to come back in 2 weeks' time, and that will be in the mornings, to be kind to the poor Australians who had to wake up so early to be here tonight. And I think that was amazing. Thank you so much, Glen and Penelope. A big kiss. And now, everyone, you're welcome to stay on chat if you want.
I just wanted to say one last thing as well. What I really loved when Glen started talking about was that it was when Penelope was talking about the elephant, giving us the elephant story. So bringing Glen's point of view was like getting another look from the different part of the elephant. I thought.
Yeah,
And,
lovely.
and the other thing I just wanted to mention is I think the Heart Math Institute does a lot of research into this kind of stuff, doesn't it? So that might be quite interesting resource as well. Thank you both. Thank you everybody for coming. And as Rossi said, please feel free to stay and chat. We're turning off recording. So, and see you next time, hopefully.
Thank you.